dinner at Monsieur Paul's, which is located in the French Pavilion in Epcot. It's above Chef de France, and the entrance is located in the back part of the building.
This restaurant is considered signature dining, ages 10 and up. There is no children's menu here, so if you are going to dine here with children, everyone is the same price, same menu, no other options. They do also suggest 2 to 4 hours for dining. For us, we were about 3 hours. Our reservation was at 7 p.m. and we were having coffee, after dinner coffee, about 9:45. So we were a solid 3 hours for dinner. We didn't feel like we were rushed, so we could have gone a little faster, we could have gone a little slower if we were on a time crunch, but I could certainly see that 2 to 4 hour window is reasonable. They do also have a very strict 72-hour cancellation policy. So if you don't cancel your reservation within that 72 hours, they do charge you a steep $100 a person. If you can, you want to try to request a table by the window. When we first got there, there were no tables available on that side of the dining room. So we were seated more on the inside, but as our dinner went along, they were able to move us over to the window, which was nice. It gives you a great view of the park, people walking around, but eventually if you're there for fireworks, then you also get to see those. Also, there is a dress code for Monsieur Paul's. They say resort casual, but they also say no tank tops, no swimwear, no flip-flops. So you can get away with clean, sort of polished park attire. I would say that when we were there, most people were dressed nicer than that. You see a lot of sundresses. I think when we went, I wore sundress.
I wore a polo slacks and some fancy shoes.
Button down short sleeve shirt and shorts. I thought you wore shorts, but I can't remember if you wore like khaki shorts.
No, I think I wore
pants.
Khaki pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so just focus on looking neat and put together and clean. You don't want to look like you just, rolled out of bed or came right from the
fancy
pool.
Dinner.
Yeah, it is a nice dinner.
Yeah.
Dietary wise, they don't have a vegetarian or vegan menu per se. You can request that, put it in the notes of your reservations. They also say that you can call, Disney Dining ahead of time and let them know what your reservations are and what your restrictions are so they can try to work a menu out for you in advance. For example, I'm not a seafood eater and this menu is heavy on seafood. It's not an allergy for me, so we were going to experience their dining and their menu, so I was fully prepared to try the seafood dishes. But I did let them know when we got there that it was not a preference for me food-wise. So they did allow me to make some changes and they kind of pulled, some different things together for me, which was fantastic, and they didn't have to do that. So, but again, just make a note and, go there being willing to try different things. We'll go through what we ordered, what we had. Full disclosure, we did do this a little while ago. This was not super recently, and the menu is subject to change, and they do change it kind of often, especially some of the courses. Their amuse-bouche course I know changes more frequently than the rest of the menu. So just, kind of keep that in mind. The pictures that we have and the experience that we had may not be exactly what's on the menu now, but of course you can always pull up their current menu online, but some things are going to be at, the discretion of the restaurant, things that are in season or what are available at the time. So I guess the first thing is the price. This is, like I said, a signature dining, so it is $195 just for dinner plus tax and gratuity
Per person.
Yes, per person. I have seen mixed things online about the availability of discounts and being able to use the Disney dining plan, but according to the actual Disney website, they don't take discounts and they don't do the dining plan. Now, I've seen this in different places, saying different things. So it's possible that seasonally they change this. Slower times of the year, they may allow you to use a discount or take the dining plan. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely ask. It never hurts to ask. Even places that we're pretty sure don't take the discounts, we always ask because we'll just forget. So one of the options that they do offer is for a wine pairing. There's two different options. One is $65 a person. The other is $110 a person. Both include 4 wines, mix of whites and reds. The more expensive option it includes more upgraded wines, and it also includes Grand Marnier with one of the courses. We are wine drinkers, so we were going to drink wine with dinner anyway, so we went ahead and did the upgraded $110 wine tasting per person. You can also add on a caviar tasting for another $110 a person. We're wine drinkers, but we are not caviar eaters.
Nope.
So we did not try the caviar, so I can't speak to that.
Now, for the wines, the 4 are going to be, we'll tell you where they're going to be, because you do get some wine and alcohol with the meal for the $195. Yes. But the 4 additional, you're going to get 2 whites and 2 reds, are going to be during the meal with some of our courses that we do have.
Also, at the time that we did this, I will say, because I've gotten a little better, but at the time that we did this, I was not really a red wine drinker. So I did ask if they could substitute the reds for whites, which they did. They had no issues at all. I let them pick it so that they could still sort of pair it and match it as best they could. It's hard when we got to the meat course, which you'll see, which is normally you would do a red wine with those meats, but it worked out. Everything was good, but they are very accommodating. So don't be afraid to ask and see what they can do for you.
And I'm a try wine drinker, which means you bring me the wine, I'm going to try it.
All right, so the first course was an amuse-bouche course. So this does come with a glass of champagne or a house cocktail, which does change pretty frequently. Their house cocktail, it tends to normally be a champagne-based drink, but for us, we both just opted for a glass of champagne. So that was served with our amuse-bouche, which it does usually include 2 to 3 bite-sized items. Chilled soups, tartars, pastries, mousses, or pâtés are pretty common. I know the one that Charlie had was they did a butternut squash soup, fruit and nut bread, and then a chilled salmon. For mine, they did make some changes to it because of the seafood portion of that. I wish I could remember exactly what was on it, but I still had that fruit and nut bread, which was very good. And then I believe some more vegetable and like a mushroom-based option. The next course is where we had after the champagne, we had our then first white wine, which was our first wine of the tasting. And this was with our bread course. They did have 3 bread options. An olive bread, which Charlie had, a baguette, which I tried, and then they have a cheese bread option.
The white wine that we got with the cheese was part of our $110 addition.
The next course that came out was the hors d'oeuvres course, which is their appetizers, mostly a soup course. This was a lot of seafood options. So for me, they did bring me more of a vegetable soup in place of the seafood options. Charlie did do the saffron mussel soup, I believe, which I think he enjoyed.
I did. It was very good. I like mussels and I like saffron, so it was very good.
The next course was our second wine from our tasting, which was again another white wine. This was the seafood course. Charlie did the sea bass, which was served in a puff pastry. They do a little bit of a salt
show.
Yeah, presentation.
Yeah. They mix it all together right at the table, and then they put it onto your plate. It was fantastic. The puff pastry was really tender and nice and flaky, and the fish. I enjoy fish, so it was not a fishy flavor. It was just a nice fish, and it came with asparagus, which I love, a little tomato, and then a remoulade that I could take and dip into the fish. So that was all very, very good.
The other option they had in seafood was scallops, which I did not get. They were able to, for me, for this course, they just substituted one of the other meat options. So I had the chicken fricassee for this, which was served with rice and black truffles. It was very good. After we had this course, they did move us to window seats. Window seat opened up. She remembered that our waitress had remembered that we had requested that when we were seated. They had no issues. They picked up all our stuff, got all of our drinks, took our bread or everything.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, moved us over to a window seat, which was perfect. So we had, views of out in the park, and when the fireworks, started at 9. We'll have pictures of that too. But You can see, it's a great view of the fireworks from where we were. So they did move us there, and then they served us, they called the True Normand course. I'm probably pronouncing that very wrong.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, but this is their palate cleanser course. So in this course, it is a pear brandy, which they serve over a pear sorbet, which at first I thought was going to be tough.
Right.
Because I'm not really a brandy drinker, but the pear sorbet really cut it, and it was really, really good.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Good.
And the way they actually get that pear in the glass is when it's just a small pear on the tree, they put the glass around the pear, and the pear grows into the bottle. So it's pretty darn amazing how they do that. And then they pour the brandy in after the pear has matured and leave it in the bottle, and it actually picks the pear flavor up that way. It just soaks in there. And man, it was, we were not expecting it to be as well as it was. Thought we don't like brandy. It's always too sweet. It's always too,
Something.
Yeah. Something that do not like. But it was really a nice palate cleanser.
So after the brandy sorbet, the next thing that they brought us was our next wine from our tasting. So this for Charlie was a red wine. I did also have another white after this, and this was with the meat course. So for this course, we both, because I had already had the chicken, we both got the beef tenderloin for this course, which is served with porcini mushrooms and a mashed potato mousse, which was fantastic. The course after this was another wine pairing. So this was another red wine for Charlie, and then I did the white. So this was a cheese course. So they just served assorted cheeses, had some grapes, preserves, and then there was a raisin bread, which our waitress kept referring to as grape bread, but Charlie,
we figured it out.
Charlie kept thinking she was just saying great bread. He's like, yeah, great, it is great, but it was grape bread, as in raisin bread. But either way, it was very, very good. Yeah. And then actually the fireworks were going off while we were on this course. Yeah. So it was a great sort of kind of
cheese and wine, like a charcuterie board.
With the fireworks going off at the same time. It wasn't a course that, we were really having to, pay too much attention to while we were eating. So we were able to enjoy the fireworks while we had this wine and cheese, and it was kind of perfect timing.
The blue cheese was fantastic. I mean, if you guys watch the channel, we do charcuterie board reviews, and all the cheeses on this plate were great, but the blue cheese was really a fantastic cheese.
So after the fireworks were finished, she did bring out the Grand Marnier, which was part of our upgraded wine tasting menu that we had selected. So she brought us the Grand Marnier with our dessert course. So for dessert, normally we try to get different things so that we can both taste things. So the big, what's the right word?
The showstopper they have.
Yeah, the showstopper dessert they have is their chocolate sphere. So the chocolate sphere is a chocolate almond cake with a chocolate cream, chocolate ice cream, hazelnut biscuit, and then they serve it they bring it to the table and serve it, and then there's a warm chocolate cognac sauce that the waitress will pour over it, which melts away the chocolate shell and leaves this, this beautiful chocolate, super, super chocolate dessert. It was very, very good. So Charlie did get that.
Yeah.
I do also, I love apples and cinnamons and ice creams and all those sorts of things. So they do also have an apple tart on their menu. So I did get the apple tart, which is served with an almond cream and a vanilla ice cream. And that was also very, very good. It was really flaky and just really the right amount of food. It wasn't too heavy. It wasn't too sweet. So that was also very good. So if you're not a chocolate person, apple tart is definitely a safe bet. So we had that with our Grand Marnier. And then at the very end, they brought out assorted go-home mini desserts. So it was a little box of 4 macarons. And they bring that with a port wine. So the port wine was not part of our tasting. That is part of the regular dinner option. So you do get that either way. So they did bring us that out at the end. They then also, of course, we didn't eat them because I couldn't have eaten
another thing.
So we did just take those with us. But then They do offer you after dinner coffee. They do have a coffee menu for the end of your dinner. So we did both get cappuccino because we are coffee drinkers, and we'd had so much food that I don't think I could have walked back without a little caffeine. So we did both get a cappuccino, which was delicious.
Very good.
It was very good. But by that time, it was about 9:40, 9:45 when our coffee came to the table. So by the time we were leaving dinner, it was a little after 10. By the time we paid the bill and actually left, it was a little after 10. So it did take us a solid 3 hours for dinner. I think the big question here is it worth it? That depends if you're into dining as an experience or if you really just want to go to dinner. If you just want a regular sit-down dinner, there's certainly a ton of options throughout the parks or over in Disney Springs, at the resorts. There's lots of really great places to go. Also, I would say if you're a picky eater, this is probably not a great option. You do have to go in, as I said before, with an open mind and be willing to try different things. They do have a limited menu, so just trust the chefs that they've made something great for you and give it a shot. So if you're just trying to celebrate a special occasion, in this case, we went for my birthday. So that's why we were there. So we were kind of celebrating something. But if you just want to have an elevated experience as part of your Disney vacation, this is a great option for that.
Very good option, yeah. And like a little adult night, you can put the kids in one of the camps that Disney offers. They are all very good camps. And then you have a couple hours, have like a date night at Disney. How fun is that? Trusting Disney, and you've tasted the food at Disney before, so they really put a lot of time and effort into what they're making for people. So it's definitely good, and trust them. And you do have options if you don't want seafood or things, but you can't just say, hey, I want a burger instead of this. They're not going to be able to do that. They're going to still stick to their kind of menu that they have. They're just going to make a little exceptions here and there, moving things around for you. But yeah, you're stuck with really the prefix menu of what they're going to give you.
But again, still go hungry. I know Charlie said early when, he kind of didn't remember it looking as big on the plates at the time. The pictures maybe, I don't know if they're to scale, but maybe they just don't really do it justice. But it is a lot of food, and it is a lot of courses. So go hungry, be prepared to eat. If there's something that you try that you maybe just don't like, you don't have to force yourself, because there's certainly going to be plenty more courses that are coming behind it you are going to be full. Also, if you do the wine tasting, it is a lot of alcohol. So I know most people, you're in Disney, you're probably on vacation using Disney transportation, but I wouldn't have wanted to drive. No driving after if you do it, definitely don't. You can also don't have to do the pairing menu. You can just order wine with the main dinner course or a different course here or there. And the bread option, they do offer you bread throughout the meal too. And you're like, what? How can I eat more bread? But they will come around and offer you bread. So if you got the cheese bread the first time and you wanted one of the other breads, you could try the other breads. We did not do that because it really is a lot of food. It was a lot of food. I think the other thing to keep in mind too, and we talked about this a little bit with timing, is depending on where you're staying on property, if you're relying on Disney transportation, just remember that Disney transportation generally ends about an hour after park closes. Sometimes it runs a little longer if they're having after hours events or something like that. But with regular park closing time, it's usually about an hour. So like I said, when we left at about 10 o'clock, the Skyliner was definitely already closed for the night. We were staying at Boardwalk that trip, so we were just walking back and went out the International Gateway entrance, but the Skyliner was closed. So if you need to rely on and you need to use Disney transportation, or you want to use Disney transportation to get back to your resort, try to shoot for the earlier
time slots.
See if you can get a 6 p.m. reservation. I know they do open later in the day, but try to get one of those earlier times so that you're not feeling so rushed or worried about making it back to Disney transportation in time. If you're staying at Boardwalk, Beach Club, Yacht Club, Swan and Dolphin, certainly you can walk back with no problems. I kind of liked that we walked back because after all that food, the walk did me did
Yeah.
me some good, to be honest.
And it's fun walking through Epcot when it's
Right.
empty.
Right, and there's nobody there.
The last picture I'm showing is of Epcot, the ball. We're in the shadow, and you can see the trash can. It's all by himself. There's nobody around.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really nice. I think we saw maybe 1 or 2 workers cleaning up, but that's it. So it's kind of a cool experience getting to leave the park when no one's around. But if you do rely on transportation, try and do it before the park closes or right after the park closes.
I think our last thing is we will tell you that price-wise, just for the 2 of us with the wine pairing, with the coffee, which we added, and then tip, this did come out to $732 for us, for just 2 people for dinner. So budget accordingly if you want to do all those things. Obviously, like I said, we did the upgraded wine pairing, which you don't have to do. That was, $200 plus after tip, and everything else. We're probably in the, $230 range just for adding, the wine on. 220 plus tip. So maybe even closer to 250.
Yep.
For just the wine pairing and the Grand Marnier that we did. So you obviously wouldn't have to do that, but budget appropriately. They do a great job. So the gratuity for our server was well worth it at the end of the night. But it was a great time. I mean, there's lots of other places for us to go and try. So I don't know if we're going to rush right back over there to do another elevated dining. I think we'll try the other ones first and see what we think.
Yep.
But yeah, that's it. That's all we've got.
Are we done?
I think we're done.
All right.
So we'll see you all for our next adventure. We don't know if it'll be fancy dining next time. Could be a cruise, but
Who knows?
who knows?